where Hollywood executives decide some scripts should never be made. One podcast will stand in defiance. Experience the worst Hollywood has to offer with readings of the scripts you never wanted.
Gordon has his gun in his mouth. This time, he's loaded the bullets into the gun. He must have taken a class.
Wow, I'm getting to be a better cop.
Table Reads, bringing to life the worst movies never made at a podcast app near you.
The first Jaws movie was such an incredible success that a sequel was greenlit very early on. With Spielberg not interested in returning to direct, John D. Hancock was hired. Much like the first film, the pre-production process for Jaws 2 was arduous, lasting 18 months before anything was even shot. Once again, the production headed from Hollywood to Martha's Vineyard for the majority of the shoot. After producing unimpressive dailies and with a reluctance to beef up the role of Ellen Brody, played by Lorraine Gary, wife of Universal Pictures president Sidney Sheinberg, director John D. Hancock was fired off of the movie. Eventually, he was replaced by Juno Swark, a director mostly known for TV and for directing the film Bug. The only major character from the first film to return was Chief Brody, played once again by Roy Scheider, who only agreed to star in this film because he was contractually obligated to. He owed Universal Pictures a movie after he walked away from starring in The Deer Hunter just 2 weeks before production began on that film. In the end, Scheider negotiated a fee 4 times more than what he made on the first Jaws movie, as well as points on the back end. Jaws 2 cost $30 million to produce and ended up making over $208 million after several re-releases, making it the highest-grossing sequel of all time at that point. It is widely considered to be the best of the 3 Jaws sequels, with modern critics being more kind to it now than the critics of its time period were. But what did we think of this movie? Comb down those naughty sideburns, put on your best 1970s ladies' pantsuit, and get ready to shake a can of gasoline wildly and nonsensically over your head as we feel the burn together while we watch this timeless classic. Join me, Matt McGregor, along with my co-hosts Harris McCabe and Colin Shaw, as we swim aimlessly into the first of 3 glorious sequels of the Jaws franchise of films. This is 1978's Juno Swark classic, Jaws 2. This is a show about franchises, Shark Attack franchises. You're listening to License to Watch.
Why in the world was this movie made?
I got a story for you guys. Just happened to me a few minutes ago. I was driving, and it was one of those situations where I'm in the, it's a 2-lane road. I'm in the right lane. I'm going at a reasonable speed, and I see in my rear view that a guy is like bombing it up the left lane, and there's a car maybe like 15, 20 feet ahead of me, but in the left lane. And so the gap between that car and me is slowly getting smaller as I'm like, catching up to that guy. So this guy who's bombing it behind me obviously is going to try to like get ahead of me to like weave between the 2 cars, right? And get in that opening before I close the gap. So naturally, LA driver, I see this guy coming. What do? I speed up. I'm going to stop this fucker. He's going fast. I don't want him to pass me, right? So I speed up. And success. He is not able to pass me, right? So I'm feeling good. I stopped the guy from like speeding like a maniac. And I'm on my merry way. So I get to the road where I have to make a left. I get into the turning lane. This guy's now behind me, and he revs his engine as he's next to me and drives past with his window open. And I'm fully expecting he's going to flip me the bird, give me the middle finger. Instead, he gives me one of these. Like, I don't know how to describe it.
White power? He gave you the white power?
Is that what that means?
It depends on if you're racist or not.
Yeah, that was for 100 years. That was an okay symbol.
Yeah, there's like the okay symbol. There's the chef's kiss, but also like within the community, it's white power.
Wow, I thought it meant asshole.
Oh, okay. It could be asshole.
I think it's only white power if you're like hiding it discreetly in a photo, like at the White House.
Dog whistle style, right?
Like
For the listeners, it is like your pointer finger and your thumb forming a circle, and your other three fingers are like pointing up straight. So it's like the
it's
A-OK.
the okay sign.
It's the okay,
Okay sign.
Or the white power sign, or apparently the sign for an asshole. I've never heard of that before, but
I thought it was asshole if you like closed it. Like
you gotta have it tight, puckered up. Matt's asshole is kind of loose, so it's
It is.
it's
I have a very loose.
You could
butthole.
basically fit a banana into the.
Oh my god!
Easily. But no, did you ever play that game as a kid where like if you put it like down by your leg, and if like someone looks at it.
Yeah, it's got to be below the hips.
But if they don't
the
look at it and they break the circle, then they get to punch you.
if they put their
right?
finger through it, then they get to punch you.
Yeah, I did play that game.
Well, I don't know why you feel it's your job to slow down drivers on the road. I always move out of the way because if that guy's in such a hurry, he needs to get there faster than I do.
I guess I just don't like stupid people, and when I see them being stupid, I want to like.
I feel like the
I wanna
stupid
thwart
person in this
them.
case is the guy who's trying to get in the way of somebody who's in a big fucking hurry and driving recklessly.
He wasn't a guy in a hurry. It wasn't like a guy whose wife was giving birth or something. That would be like a Volvo.
He was in a
or
bigger
something.
hurry than you were. You don't know that man's story.
Matt, this is dangerously close to like a Karen or a Ken type interaction where you're like, I'm gonna police the world because I know what people should be doing.
This guy should
better
not
than
be
they
driving
do.
that fast, in
It's
my
true.
opinion.
It's off brand, I would say, but you had to see the truck.
I still think the guy was doing white power, and he thought you were an Aryan brother.
Well, what I was gonna say, my whole point of my story was that this is not offensive to me. This symbol, I was like, I took it as
now
like,
you know that it means white power, so maybe it should be. I don't know.
yeah. Now I'm scared for my life.
I feel like you've been in the wrong this entire story. This isn't.
I gotta go get the stuff off the porch now. I'm sorry.
All right.
All right, we're gonna
I
make
need,
this into a
like,
bit. So
20
just go
seconds.
ahead.
Okay.
Yeah.
The barely started podcast coming to a screeching halt, much like the driver in the right lane when Matt merged into his lane.
Because Matt has decided. Now, Matt, do you ever go faster than the speed limit?
I do often,
Well, so how do you feel when?
but I
somebody
don't drive
decides
like a
that you're
maniac
going,
and weave like lane
well,
to lane
Matt,
just
that's
to get
your
around
opinion.
people.
But how do you feel about when somebody else thinks you're going too fast and decides they're going to plant their ass in front of you?
I don't ever go that fast. This guy was like beyond speeding.
Well, again, what you consider too fast is clearly different than what other people consider too fast.
I want to know what kind of car was he driving and what street you were on in town.
I was on Hazeltine in the valley.
Okay.
Hazeltine is off of Ventura Boulevard. It's between Van Nuys Boulevard and Woodman Avenue.
This is good. This is
And,
painting a picture for me.
I was
very
headed north, and this guy was in like a O.J. Simpson era white Bronco. That was like
Wait, was it juice?
It had like those rust spots on it, you know. So it was definitely old and loud. That's how I also heard him coming, and so I was like, this guy sucks.
Are we still on this story?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
We're getting more information to determine whether or not Matt was an asshole.
This guy was an Aryan. He was in a great hurry.
He was definitely white. I saw his arm, his white bony arm, as he flipped me that signal.
This all
Okay,
reminds me
signal.
that I saw the craziest thing I've seen in a long time on Sunday night, and this isn't really a story; it's a short story. I was a couple blocks from my house. I was driving home on Sunday night from getting some food. Now, it was just a few blocks from my house in Koreatown, and I saw a guy almost get carjacked. I was like driving down the street. There's like this old coffee shop. Or it's a coffee shop that looks like an old gas station. It's like converted from an old gas station. I think it's like on Melrose, maybe. I can't remember. But a red BMW was parked in that parking lot. And I pulled onto the street, and all of a sudden I hear the tires squeal, and I see the red BMW ripping out of the parking lot. And there's a guy in a red hoodie who is literally running after the red BMW with a Glock in his hand, pointing it at the red BMW. And for a second I was like, holy shit, this guy's going to start shooting. And it's literally happening like right next to me, like 20 feet away. And I was like, oh, this guy's going to just start shooting. And then when he realized that he couldn't catch the red BMW and that this guy was not going to get carjacked, he like tucked the Glock away and started walking really fast in the other direction. But the red BMW pulls off into the wrong lane of traffic. Whoa. And is like weaving in between cars on the wrong side of the road, going like 60 miles an hour.
Serpentine.
And then serpentine, exactly. And then it gets in front of me. And I actually followed him for a couple blocks. I was like, what's this dude? What's his state of mind? I'm like concerned about this guy. And he was not slowing down. Like, I don't know what the deal was, but this dude was not like taking any chances that the guy with the Glock was a super fast runner.
See, now me, if I were there, I would have jumped in front of that guy to slow him down.
Slow him down.
And he probably would have thrown me one of these.
Yeah. Hey, I don't like how fast you're going. I got jacked.
Before we say anything else, I should say welcome to License to Watch. This is the Jaws 2
podcast about
episode.
traffic accidents.
Yeah. Joining us for this episode is our friend Jordan Ledy. How's it going, Jordan?
Very well. Thanks for having me.
Jordan, I haven't seen you or talked to you in many years.
That's
so
right.
What are you up to these days? Tell the subscribers, the many subscribers, what you do and what your daily habits are. You know, fun things that you like to.
Are you sure your audience is ready to peer into the dark void that is my daily habits? I am.
I'm not sure they'll care. But.
Matt and I know, and Harris know each other from film school. So I'm a filmmaker, writer, director, editor, and lately been also moonlighting as a music producer and musician. So lots of creative stuff. I'd say. The most recent thing and kind of, I suppose, highest profile item out on the interwebs is a web series that I direct with a friend of mine, also a USC grad, Arun Narayanan, called Arun Considers.
A former guest of the podcast.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't realize Arun's been a guest of the podcast. Excellent.
I'm also pretty sure I've been in his house and he doesn't know it.
Well, he's not... Really? His current house? Because he moved recently.
The creepiest way to say that.
I think I cat sit for him, but like the client was technically his
girlfriend.
Whoever he lives, his girlfriend. Yeah.
Oh, Josie. Is Josie the client?
Yeah, it was something like that.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yep. But like, we bring in the packages also, and there's a package on the step, and it's like Arun.
A long last name that you don't know how to pronounce.
And I'm like, I'm really sure I know this name from somewhere. And then I'm like, oh, I know exactly who this is. This is Arun Considers.
Yeah.
And then he's texting us and he's like, I think I'm in Arun's house right now. And we're like, what are you doing?
That's awesome.
You know what he hasn't considered? You being in his house.
Intruders in his home.
He still doesn't know.
You skulking around his apartment when he's not home.
That's wild. Well, Arun's doing well. We're working together. We're trying to we're producing a short adaptation of a feature script that he wrote later this summer, and then we're gonna turn our sights on the next iteration of Arun Considers, which might be feature length. We're toying with that idea, but it's kind of wild, that series. I just love working on it with them, and it was always an excuse to just go out and kind of make anything. And the last time we did it was in 2019, and since then we've been nominated for a Streamy and a Webby, which I kind of shocked us because there were so many people nominated. I mean, like the people that were nominated have legit hundreds of thousands of subscribers, and we have this incredibly small, super cheap podcast, or not podcast, super cheap web series that we make that got noticed. So it's like a nice encouragement to say we need to go out and make some more of it. So that's the plan after the summer.
Yeah, that's great.
If you make the feature, I would love to be a part of it as the person who's been in his house.
Oh, hell yeah. For sure.
Or just, I'd love to be a part of it. Yeah. Arun
home
considers,
invasion.
Yeah, home invasion. Yeah.
Arun considers squatting.
Yeah, just different forms.
Yeah. Oh man, well that's great. We'll have to have Arun back on this show when you guys do the feature to promote that.
Definitely, maybe before that, because who knows how long that's going to take, but we'll see.
Yeah. He was on our Austin Powers test show. We did we did the Austin Powers series as a test before we launched this show, and he was our very first guest that we ever had on this show.
Nice.
Ever.
Oh wow, a good inaugural guest.
That episode went unreleased for a long time, and then finally we released it for some reason, and so it's out there. You can.
We have our reasons.
Yeah, we have our reasons. So yeah, the movie we're talking about today is a little known classic from 1977, the year of our Lord. It's called Jaws dos in the Latin American countries. Here it was known as Jaws 2. What's his name? Roy Scheider is back from Jaws 1. No one else from Jaws 1 is back except for the mayor and the deputy
wife.
or whatever.
And the wife.
Oh, his wife. That's right. Yeah. Oh, how could I forget her? She'll play a larger role later.
I think she's married to one of the producers, which is why
She's married to the head of the studio.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yes.
How do they? I want to run against this mayor. Like, I want to do that now in like 2021. I want to run it against the 1977 fictional mayor of the fictional place Amity Island. I think I can win. You know, like, I think we've got enough dirt on him with the way he's handled this, and like, I definitely think I could win in the debates because like they would probably have to use stock footage and they, you know, deep faking it and stuff like that. I'd like to run against him. I kind
of feel like he must have a lot of strong support in the community.
He's got it locked up because the guy's proven his incompetence time and time again, and yet seems to not sway anyone from giving him power continuously.
Exactly.
And seemingly
He's
without
an
question.
anti-shark guy living in an anti-shark town. I mean, they love him.
I mean, he seems like he's pretty pro-shark, actually. He's like, no, let the sharks do what they want. You know what it is? He got the shark vote. That's what everyone underestimates. The sharks are very pro-mayor.
Now, guys, not for nothing, but the mayor, because the mayor from Jaws 1, obviously it's the first time I've experienced him in Jaws 2, but he became, I think, very relevant recently in that during the pandemic, when I first watched Jaws, I thought just this mayor is so ludicrous. What a ridiculous character. How are you going to ignore such obvious evidence that murders are taking place by a vicious shark in your town, like scientists talking to you, telling you need to deal with this, and authority figures mounting their growing support that we need to close the beach, and him saying, no, it's going to affect the economy. And then
that would never happen.
That would never happen in real life. And then COVID hits, and that's exactly how that shit went down. And like, I mean, even more so, it wasn't just one person. It was like the entire White House felt that way. And like, you know, I'll stay away from political stuff because who the hell wants to listen to that? But I thought back to the mayor in Jaws 1. I was like, oh, that wasn't hyperbole at all. That guy totally exists and is in pretty much any office, government, housing, development, whatever, what have you, that you can think of.
And just like in Jaws, his constituents continue to support him no matter how bad he cocks it up. To the point where he does it again. Just a few years later, he's like, sharks, I don't know. They don't seem like such a bad thing.
What you don't understand is the economic growth and the opportunity on Amity Island.
They didn't even have the excuse this time of like, oh, it's the big summer rush and we really need this and blah, blah, blah. They don't even bother to address it. The mayor's just like, no, I don't believe you because, I don't know. What have you done for me lately? You know?
See, what I think they were doing is the first scene in the big hotel opening. I think the guys who own that hotel were also on the city council board in that other scene where he comes in. So I think what they were setting up is, like he's paid up with the people who are like building hotels there.
The developers.
So, the developer. And so that is indeed why he like wants to downplay sharks. Even though
that's why they have that scene when Brody is up in the like shark tower and he's like, oh, don't let them see,
That's the
I
same
think it's
scene.
funny how many people notice him up there. He's like not really in the way anywhere, and yet he's all of a sudden this attraction of this guy in the tower that everyone's freaking out about.
Well, that's the same scene where he climbs down from the tower, runs full speed at the ocean, and discharges his firearm into the water.
Well, at
while
that
screaming.
Point, at that point, it makes a lot more sense for him to be noticed.
But even then, that scene is kind of bonkers because he's the one lifeguard on the beach and he's going, everyone out of the pool, and everyone's looking at him like, what's his problem? Like he's just the only safety, personnel here. Why would we listen to that guy?
He aims directly at a kid coming out of the water. Like, he's just waiting for that kid to clear his sights so he can fire around right next to his head.
Timmy, just duck a little bit. I got to pull off a couple of
I need a
rounds.
clean shot.
What did he think that the did he think that the shark was gonna like midair get shot and not be able to still chomp the kid?
That's what he was thinking.
Okay.
Also, did he
his
learn
cyanide
nothing
bullets.
from the first movie that like the guns don't really do anything? to
Roy
the shark?
Schneider has forgotten absolutely every piece of shark knowledge that was given to him by Richard Dreyfuss in the first film.
Shark knowledge, boat knowledge.
Oh,
he forgot all the
does
knowledge.
cling to it a couple times. He says things like, "I've been around sharks," but then he appears to not fully comprehend like their appendages, how they function, that bullets won't penetrate the water sufficiently. You know, from a revolver, like a small service pistol.
Yeah, he's not good. He's not
So
good.
Jordan, was this your first time seeing this movie?
This was my first time seeing this movie. In fact, it's the first time I've seen any of the Jaws franchise, save for the first film, which I've seen obviously several times. I do have one I don't know if this is if we want to stay in the movie, but I do have a story related to the Jaws franchise that I would like to share on this podcast. You guys getting the exclusive Jordan's brush with the Jaws franchise.
All right.
Yeah, let's hear it.
Okay. So, since we all went to film school, you guys, I'm sure, are familiar with the experience of anytime any of your friends decide to get married, they ask you to film their wedding because they do some research and find out it costs like tens of thousands of dollars to get a pro videographer to film a wedding, and they're like, "Oh, Jordan went to film school; he can swing a camera," and they rope you into it, right? So, some friends do this. I may or may not have borrowed some equipment from USC to go up to Santa Barbara and film this wedding, and I'm studying documentary filmmaking at the time, so I'm using my doc skills, right? You know, I'm zipping around. I have one camera, but I'm trying to cover the scene, cover the whole wedding. And really, the key part of any wedding is you just got to get the bride's entrance and the kiss, and then the speeches. But like that, really, you can kind of muck up everything. But as long as you get those two things, you're golden. So I'm dear friends with the bride, so I'm making sure I get the doors opening. I swing back. I get the groom craning his head. I swing back again. Now she's emerging through the crowd. I go back. I get the groom. Now his jaw's on the floor, seeing his wife in the wedding dress for the first time. I promise it's getting the jaws at some point. But anyway, I'm like really.
Well, you said jaw.
Yeah. It's a jaw. There you go. And that's it, guys. That's the relationship.
And then the shark burst out and ate them both.
Anyway,
Yes.
and I'm
Hell of a
and I think once they cross, I like run over to the other side of the church. I'm all over the place shooting this thing. So then the father of the bride later at the reception goes to me. He goes, "Hey, one of the guests wants to speak to you." I'm like, "Oh, really? What's going on?" Yeah, you should talk to him. He's legit. So like, okay, I go over this guy's older gentleman, very well dressed, really sweet, but must be in his late 80s, I'd say. And he goes, you did a hell of a job shooting that ceremony. I go, "Oh, thanks. I appreciate it. I'm a doc filmmaker, and that's something I aspire to." And he goes, "Well, let me tell you, keep shooting like that. You're going to have a career." He's got this real great kind of husky Hollywood kind of deal to him. And
Is he the man who invented whip pans?
It just so happens I then find out he is Joe Sargent, who directed Jaws: The Revenge. And many other films and a lot of TV. I forget what shows he was on, but like he's one of these guys, and it's similar to the director of Jaws 2, that like storied journeyman of a TV director who must have shot like 500 hours of television, and shot well into his golden year until his 80s. He passed away, I want to say 5 years ago. So the director of this movie, I won't be able to pronounce his French name, but he's still around. He's still alive, and he was directing, I think, as recently as like Damages or
some show. I looked it up.
A bunch of stuff.
Not Mad Men, but like something from
Ally
that
McBeal.
Yeah, his name's Jano Schwartz. It's
okay.
Polish, I think. And yeah, he's journeyman is a great way to describe him.
It's because originally his family knew a lot about pants, but then they, decided to go into short pants, and than shorts.
We were really working up
not
to
bad.
that play on words.
No.
I like how you incorporated the first name.
Yeah, that was worth the walk.
Shorts, not
You're getting better
shorts.
at this, Colin. Finally.
It's sad to say I never watched Jaws of Revenge. I feel like I really should, and maybe well, in any event,
Might make him roll over in his grave. If anyone watches that movie ever. No, I don't know. My memory of that movie is that it is not good, but who knows? Maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised when we watch it in a couple.
I mean, this one, being my first experience with Jaws 2, I'll say it was better and worse than I expected. I'm not really sure what I expected. I knew, it ain't living up to the first one for sure. Just, that's like one of the greatest movies of all time. So I knew it wasn't going to do that, and I assumed, kind of not knowing anything about it, that it would have been kind of a cash grabby type. We need to get back out on that boat and rake in some more dough. And they didn't get Spielberg. It's like, so what? We're going to print money with this if we just add 2 to the end of Jaws. And so I think I was expecting something a little schlockier and less well produced and less well directed than this, it's shockingly well produced and directed. I was expecting a lot more of a kind of Roger Corman-y B-movie type thing than.
Well, it was very much a cash grab in terms of just, they realized that there was demand for this, and the studio basically said, we're going to do this. So the producers of the original movie said, well, if somebody's going to do this anyways, we might as well be involved. What wasn't a cash grab is they actually spent money on it. So they actually had a budget. They still couldn't get the mechanical shark to work most of the time. It was still a nightmare shoot. And everyone still argued the first director got fired. It was a mess. But like you said, it's competent, and they definitely had a budget involved. And I think they also benefit from, they set the bar really low because there's almost an incoherently edited opening scene with scuba divers that I was like, wow, this seems incompetent. All right, well, let's just buckle up. Here's what we're in for. And then as you get into
Matt
it,
loves that shit. Anything scuba.
Yeah. But as you get into it, it gets better, and you're like, oh, okay. So I know Roy Scheider did not want to do this movie. He did it begrudgingly to settle a contract dispute, but he gave it his all. He was there. He was invested. It's kind of all over the place with the kids and how character development and stuff like that. But they're trying.
Speaking of Roy Scheider, what I was thinking, I mean, we do franchises, right? Like, what if you were like in some kind of tournament and like your avatar or like your fighter for the tournament is drafted from like movie franchise protagonists, and like other people are getting like Neo from the Matrix and like what do we just do, Conan, stuff like that, and you get drafted Roy Scheider. A guy who's literally just like scared and frustrated and sad the whole time.
Possibly drunk.
Yeah, and has no power whatsoever. Like he's a
Honestly,
sheriff on an island.
If I had to take a Roy Schneider as a fighter figure, I'd take him as Bob Fosse because at least he has good dance moves in that.
I think Bob Fosse could beat up Sheriff Brody probably.
Yeah, right? He'd moonwalk all over him.
Now, here's my question. Roy Scheider in Jaws or Rob Schneider in Deuce Bigelow? That's who wins the fight there.
That's 2 franchise protagonists right there.
Yep.
That's a tough one. I'm taking Deuce.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Scheider's got the shorts, though. Those cool shorts that he's wearing in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
And he could be like blind drunk as well.
I'm kind of agreeing with you guys that this movie was both better and worse than I thought it would be. This is my first time watching it in many, many years. I saw this as a kid, and I remember like certain parts of it. The beached whale. I always like in my memory that the beached whale part is from the first Jaws movie, and then every time I watch the original Jaws, I'm like, oh yeah, that beached whale thing must be from part 2. The thing with the helicopter at the end, I always remember. I remember like the girl that they all think is really hot, like just being really fucking annoying in this movie when she's like screaming her head off.
That is the single most hilarious scene in any movie I've seen recently, when they like when everyone like is turning around to talk about this hot girl that just showed up on the pier, and I'm like, is she standing behind the little boy in the pantsuit, or what is going on here? The one with the Danny Torrance haircut? I don't understand. Where's the hot girl? And then one guy points out that she doesn't have breasts, and he is like,
I believe the line is "tits like a sparrow," which I was like, ugh,
Yes, that's mean.
That's not a nice
mean.
thing to say about something.
yes. And
Yeah,
I
just
know.
think maybe in this little sailing subculture, like looking like a little boy as a female is actually what a lot of them are into.
Totally.
Well, this is just before the androgynous, like gender bending of the 80s. So you got to say they were ahead of the curve there.
Yeah, way ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's just funny to cast a character that everyone like is in the script. It's like all the guys are into her, and she's so hot that everyone notices her when she shows up on the pier. And then they cast this woman who I'm sure is, very pretty and whatever, and they dress her in this pantsuit, and they make no effort to make her like even like to distinguish her as a woman.
Well, I mean, here's the thing. To me, this is like a case.
I like that.
But honestly, it has nothing to do with what she looks like or even really what she's wearing. It has everything to do with writing a part that doesn't deserve to get covered with the type of shots you need to convey that information, because it's like you can't spend the time on schedule like shooting glamour shots of this woman entering, having people crane their heads.
They saved those for Brody's wife.
Yeah, they save those for the headlining, the A-list actors. Like Roy Schneider gets an entrance. This it clearly was written that like this actress should have gotten an entrance like that to justify all this talk, but it's not even really a story point. It's barely a C story that like they have a crush on this girl. So,
I love this scene. Like it's so stupid. They don't like dress her nice. I guess like they avoid some of the male gaze, which is good or whatever. It's just
but they literally have males gazing at her. It's a plot point.
It's so funny.
The male gaze is all they shot. They didn't shoot her. They didn't shoot any female gaze. It's all dude gaze.
And then like also like this is like one of the worst parts of the movie that's also just hilarious, and I love that like there's just too many characters. Like who cares about any of these little fucks on their sailboats? Not me. Like
I mean they clearly invest. This is what I think is the most fascinating and unusual thing about this movie, that I couldn't quite figure out what they were going for and how specifically they failed. But they clearly had an idea, because let's face it, Jaws is a horror franchise at its heart, except instead of a serial killer in a mask with a machete, it's a shark. And the first movie's like that, and has like the sexy teens romping around, and it's like when you go skinny dipping, look out, because and that's what gets to us, because it's just people having fun, having a great time, and then they get brutally murdered in a gory way. And this kind of took it to that. I mean, they had Roy Scheider in it. Obviously, they want to tie him in, but it's not really. It feels like they were torn between making it his movie and making it a movie about sexy teens having fun and getting their fun disrupted by this monstrous shark. Only they came up with all these little subplots, and they just didn't give any of them enough time to develop properly. Napoleon Dynamite is like kind of giving off some weird incel vibes, and Back to School is trying to like talk him down and boost up his confidence, and then Ralph Malph and the sheriff's two sons are like palling around, and then there's this new girl
also
in
like
town.
4 kids who look exactly like the sheriff's son, so you can't even tell who's who.
Including the mayor's son, who seems to have some kind of rivalry with the sheriff's son for this girl, but then the sheriff's son, Mike, gets like taken out. And it turns out the mayor's son maybe isn't such a douche. But I couldn't even tell which one of the 2 other guys who looked exactly like him was the mayor's son at that point.
Yeah, they made some really odd choices with these characters. First of all, yes, like you see there's too many teens, and you're like, okay, this is a shark, a man-eating shark movie, so probably half of them are going to get eaten by sharks. And they even fail there. There's not enough shark murder in this murder movie.
Only one gets eaten, right?
2. A girl who they introduced late in the game gets killed.
They introduce her early because she's the one who always takes Sean, the sheriff's younger son, in her boat.
Oh yeah, her name's Marge or something.
Oh, Marge, that's right. Yeah.
She's like the makeout girl who
definitely robbing the cradle.
No, the makeout girl is like Miss Amity, who they introduced in the very beginning.
Yeah, Tina.
Tina.
This movie,
yeah,
this is so stupid.
They introduced Tina, and they say her name like
gets
1,000 times, like she's going to be a major character, and then she has like one of the first encounters with the shark and is so scared that she's scared out of the rest of the movie. And then the other one that they build up is, of course, Brody's son, Mike, who you think is going to have, and then, you know, him and the younger brother go out together and you're thinking, oh, he's going to have this like great moment where he's going to have to like save the younger brother,
be heroic,
or something like that.
Save his love interest because he's got a love interest because he's that important and they're building up his love interest.
No,
He
but
gets
he's
bonked on the
unconscious like
head.
the whole time.
And he's out of the movie. Like, what the hell? Yeah. Why would you do that? I don't know.
It's insane.
Well, here's the thing.
It
Like,
makes no sense.
you have this movie that the first one really, apart from, you know, great action, you know, the action sequence. There are some action sequences in this that I think are pyrotechnically just more exciting than Jaws 1. But the massive, you know, vacuum left from Richard Shaw and why am I blanking on
Richard Dreyfuss.
Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw. There
I
you
told
go.
you I didn't want to wear the damn mask.
I mean, the kind of three men from different points of views, you know, coming together in the face of a common adversary is like, those are some of the best scenes in Jaws, you know, that kind of male bonding in the face of danger kind of stuff. And so you need these interpersonal relationships. And I guess they're like, let's just throw in a bunch of kids. And they have, you know, they're trying to get with each other on the beach, and then the shark comes up, and it just does not tickle the same.
I understand that it was very bad, and I loved how bad it was. Like, the mistakes are so obvious, and like they slow down the movie and make it like so much more boring. And like, I actually like the cinematography, but it's also like kind of weird choices for the cinematography. It's a lot of like shots that give us like a lot of distance from everything that's going on, and just kind of like we're very omnipotent and like very like distant, like we're not getting up close with any character because they picked too many characters. And
yeah, it's definitely a lot of wides, an unusual amount of wides, except when they're like quick cutting an action scene.
Yeah. And they're really good looking wides. Like they catch the sun at a lot of great times and stuff like that. But it's also like nothing interesting is happening. And I just love it. Like, it's so weird.
I feel like if they could have made it work if they had committed to making a different movie, you know? I feel like they were torn between just more of the same, just give us what we want. We want a you know, shark eating people, sheriff, nobody believes the sheriff, that story. And I think if they had said, hey, what worked about the first one was these three guys in a boat. We got a talented cast of young actors. Let's make it about them and strand them out in the middle of the ocean, because that's the most indelible thing about this for me, which I definitely have seen this movie before on TV. I realize about halfway through when they're tying the boats together, I'm like, oh, yeah, I've definitely seen all these scenes. And I think that could have been, instead of the three men on the boat hunting the shark, it could have been build up to the sexy teens out on their joyride that goes horribly wrong, and then can they survive and get to the island and then kill the shark as they get picked off one by one. That would have been interesting, but in order to do that, you would have had to basically scrap the Sheriff Brody plot and really drill down to these teens and their relationships. But you would have gotten the chance to give that enough time, you know?
And to me, it's fighting some of the stuff they are sticking with. It was just from the first movie, like the sheriff is not being believed that there's a shark. When you'd think they've already had a murderous shark attack in recent memory, the same mayor, so it's the same mayoral term at Amity Island. Like, why not have everyone go into overdrive? Like, I liked this beat of the son saying, like, I want to go out on the boat, and Roy Schneider's not wanting him to go out and kind of wanting to be parentally strict with him. And like, if this whole town was full of teenagers that are just like, I'm so sick of it, everything's about safety and shark safety and all this crap, we just want to have fun, and they end up by means of being, you know, rebellious teenagers getting themselves into a dangerous situation that now
Footloose, but with a shark.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, sure. Like,
when you say Footloose with a shark, I'm picturing a very different movie.
You are picturing the shark from Finding Nemo tap dancing down Main Street. That's what you're looking at.
A better movie.
But yeah, absolutely. That like, I mean, it would necessarily make the kids more of the stars, which I'm sure is already kind of a tricky point to do. Separately, this shark. Okay, this one of the things that I really didn't like about it, or the snob in me doesn't like, is seeing the proto evolution of some monster movie tropes, like the shark is smarter than other sharks, like it knows to attack helicopters, and the scarring, the physical scarring of the shark to make it more scary. That it's scarier than a regular shark. It lived through an explosion and has like a snake type one eye patch thing going on, just so the audience knows.
Eye patch.
Love it.
It's got a peg leg. It's a shark with a hook for a hand. That's how scary it is.
It feels like the development guy in the corner who like didn't pipe up during the meeting is like, holy shit, this meeting's about to end, and I have not contributed to the developing of this film. What if he has an eye patch? And everyone's like, oh yeah, that's scary. That's scarier. That's yeah. We'll give him an eye patch. Like that's with stuff like that.
I like the cut of your jib.
Yeah.
Honestly, the scene where they explode the shark's face is really good. It's pretty fucking cool.
The explosion looks real good.
It's a massive explosion.
I feel like the moment leading up to that with the woman on the skis, which also is the poster for this movie, is a shark coming up behind a woman on the skis. But like that is the closest this movie ever comes to the kind of suspense that the first movie did pretty regularly throughout. When you see the shark fin coming up behind a woman who's water skiing, and you just know it's only a matter of time till something bad happens. And that's the kind of tension that you don't get a lot in this movie, because they admitted that they, where Spielberg, for technical reasons, had to hide the shark, and thus he had to kind of like shoot around it and make it a little more, implied. They, in this movie, said that they felt like that trick was already done, and they had to just show the shark a lot more, that people wanted the payoff, and they weren't going to be satisfied with the implication of danger. So they felt like they had to show the shark, and I feel like it didn't work. I feel like it was scarier the less we saw, and they probably could have just gone to the well and used some of the same tricks.
I think you're right in that they kind of failed with the shark. Like in the few times that they do show it, even though it has like a wicked cool scar on its face, it's not as scary. It looks fake to me. There's like, it looks like rubbery, and I feel like where in the first Jaws movie, it's well known and documented that like Spielberg and the editor of that film like would cut to the last possible frame like before the shark started to look fake. They would cut away. Whereas I feel like in this movie, they hung on a couple frames too long. Having said that, I think this movie's best attribute is that in a lot of ways, it didn't try to replicate the first movie. The changes that they made enough are what makes this movie stand alone as like, not a total copycat. You know what I'm saying? Even though there are like many comparisons you can make and like a lot of similar tropes and things going on, or plot points rather, I feel like it's different enough that it works. Yeah. In that regard, but at the same time, yeah, they kind of dropped the ball in some other way with the shark. It's like not as, like you said, not as suspenseful, not as scary. And like you have all this, like, for lack of a better term, like meat. All these characters are just meat, like have the shark eat some of them. Like I just wish they would have killed more people in this movie.
How many people did they kill? Because they killed the 2 scuba divers, and then they killed the 2 water skiers and boat driver
in the explosion, right?
And then they killed the helicopter pilot, and they killed the boyfriend, and they kill Margie.
And that's
so
it.
And the orca and the killer whale.
And
don't forget the killer whale.
Yes.
Died too.
So that's 7 people and 1 killer whale. That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but also the helicopter pilot drowns. He doesn't get eaten. The 2 scuba divers in the beginning.
I assume he got eaten.
Yeah. What you also don't know is that Harris has for a long time believed that killer whales don't have souls, which is really weird.
No. I saw Shamu at the original SeaWorld. I know they have souls.
Oh,
and they're sad all the time.
And they're sad all the time.
SeaWorld they are.
Oh, that is sad actually. Like free Shamu.
Should we summarize this movie? I feel like we've done it already.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say like on what Matt said, like 2 of the coolest things that they did are the most ridiculous. The shark getting an exploded face and the shark taking out a helicopter. Both very cool, but like ridiculous.
The exploded face, the most ridiculous part. I didn't realize it. That the driver of the jet or of the boat, she lifts a gas tank and pours it all over herself. Like, she essentially commits to, like, I have to suicide kill this shark. And then she pops it with the
only
flare
way.
gun. Yeah, it seemed like a real drastic.
It did look. It looked like.
I don't think trained
that
Navy
wasn't-
SEALs would have such like conviction of
She
like
made this choice
like,
so quickly.
the greater good, right? She's like, that's it, splash, 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 splash. And at first I was like, is that coffee? Is she pouring coffee on herself? Will that help?
Now,
Like,
I feel like maybe it looked to me like what they were trying to play at is that she holds up the can of gasoline like she's going to throw it at the shark, and the top isn't secure, and it dumps all over herself. So I think like she was menacing the shark with the
and it's in
gasoline.
silhouette, so you can't even tell if she's pouring it over the side or
But
on top of her.
It
like.
really does look like she just
douses herself in kerosene.
gasoline and then grabs a flare gun, and I'm like, oh no, this isn't gonna end well. Don't do that. Like,
What is her
There's
backstory?
literally like a
Like,
Dukes of Hazzard freeze. They're like, uh-oh. It looks like she's in a bit of high
you
water.
boys better start learning to flap their arms. Yeah, no,
Any
it was
sign of trouble, you just start pouring gas everywhere, especially on yourself, and then blow the place up.
The big question is, how did she look to be in her 20s at least? How did she survive this long in her life if these are her instincts? Just
Like it's worked before.
Yeah. Oh, I'll just do the old throw gas all over myself.
Everybody hates
routine.
gas.
Nobody wants to eat something that's covered in gasoline.
And then the explosion is so massive. It is like a James Cameron-esque explosion. It is so big. I was dumbfounded by that.
And the old lady in her house, who we never see again or before, is like, oh my.
Oh yeah, she is a real like. Well, that went south quickly. Like it's a real measured kind of like. There's no like. Oh my god! Like a nuclear explosion has happened. Not but 500 feet from my house.
It's
That-
like
that's
pretty
the-
regular
that's-
over there.
Yeah, she's like, I see water skiing accidents all the time, but this is the first one that resulted in a massive fireball.
It's the smallest explosion I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So how to summarize, Matt? I mean, where to begin?
All right, so Jordan, we take turns summarizing the plot we try to do it in 2 minutes.
Okay,
So let's let Colin.
Here we go.
Ready,
do his
Colin?
thing for 2
You got
minutes.
the clock right here.
clock's ready.
Oh, you got it. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Go. Okay, so we start with Sheriff Brody and joining everyone at the big party for the hotel opening, and they're opening a big hotel. But something's afoot because we just saw scuba divers get massacred by a shark. The shark's back. The shark's attacking people. We know that, and slowly our extremely large cast of characters that we get introduced to, a bunch of them are kids who love to sailboat, and everyone's having a good time. And then the shark starts, killing people. That's what he does. It's a Jaws movie. So there's a water skier. They get killed. Eventually, all the little kids go out on their little boats, and Sheriff Brody's got to chase them down. And they start getting attacked by the shark, and they build like a little flotilla. And Brody's out there driving his boat around, trying to save kids, and witnessing the devastation. And then a helicopter comes and tries to save them, and the shark eats the helicopter, surprisingly enough. And finally, the kids get to like a big chunk of rock in the water, and Brody tries to save them, and he drives his boat into the rock for some reason. And then they kill the shark with a big power line.
It's called Cable Junction.
You have 40 seconds left. There's some details you
forgot
missed.
so
that
much.
I would have added some the part you.
There's so many details that tell none of the story.
Well, one that I quite enjoyed was that the scuba divers killed at the beginning have an underwater camera that they take a photograph of the shark. That's recovered. Roy Schneider eventually gets this developed, and sees a photo of the shark, which he then brings to the town, to the town hall and mayor, which they promptly ignore and then fire him for.
to be fair, that picture could have been anything.
I feel like it was like a magic eye thing that he's like, no, seriously,
Cross your
you
eyes
stare
for
at it long
30
enough,
seconds.
you will see the shark.
Put it really close to your face and slowly move it away from your
Yeah,
face.
exactly. You'll see the shark. And they were like, oh god, this guy's a nut. Let's fire him.
Before that scene, he did open fire on the ocean,
Yes, granted.
where he thought he saw a shark, but really it was just a school of small.
But also, this is
useless
4
fish.
years after he saved the town from a giant shark.
You feel like you get a little leeway,
risk
right?
Yeah, exactly. You think you get like a 5-year grace period where opening fire on civilian beaches won't necessarily get you immediately dismissed.
Right.
From
Not in that town.
I don't know.
It really seems like this whole town is very much like we don't talk about the shark problem, like from,
There is
throughout
no
the
shark
entire
problem in
society.
Amity.
Exactly, yeah.
Well, from the town's perspective, I mean, he just came back and was like, "Yeah, we killed the shark," but like there's no proof of it. So
Yeah, and now there's suspiciously another big shark in the water. I would be like calling him a liar. I'd be like, well, so are you telling me you killed the shark before, or are you telling me you lied to me then and the shark is back now? They also never really address like that other shark was this huge man-eater that for some reason was deciding to hunt people and was this anomaly, and they never address that there's just another shark that's doing the exact same thing.
Well, I do like that they kind of brush it off because he's like, do you think it's possible that like the death of one shark could like alert another shark? And then like something else happens and that's
and the
So,
scientist
like, that's
woman,
enough.
that scientist woman, I thought they were bringing her in to be the Richard Dreyfuss character. Like,
Right.
she's gonna be his like sidekick, his Q in this adventure, and she's just gone after that scene. But she does proceed. He's like, could a killer shark have signaled to another shark? And she goes, nope, they don't work that way. And then she's out.
I love her in that scene. She's like, he says that, and the look she gives him is just, the fuck you talking about?
Sorry,
are you
dum-dum.
fucking kidding me?
But she also gives him that information about how like sharks follow percussive sounds, which I'm pretty sure they don't. Like, I think he had the right information that they smell blood in the water and they are attracted to like things that are splashing around because they think they're animals. But like, she's also like, oh yeah, if you want to get a shark to come to you, just bang on something like it's a drum or something like that, just so they can set up the end of this movie, because otherwise it wouldn't make any sense.
That device.
Its vision is based on movement.
Yeah.
Wait, two things. Well, first of all, I want to get back to the electrical cable through the water because that interests me from a logistical point of view. But
Yes.
the also
junction.
coming from the last series, there's no mention of Robert Shaw, who died at sea. Could there? I mean, there's like a whole plot device of like maybe he was suspected of being murdered by Roy Schneider. Maybe like Roy Schneider was disgraced, or I'm there seems to be no. You say like, oh, they don't talk about the shark problem, yeah, and they also don't talk about the whole event at all. It seems like everyone. I guess
To be fair, he was kind of like the town drunk. He was a
Yeah,
bit of a nuisance.
that's what I was gonna say. They did not like Robert Shaw.
Yeah, they were thrilled when he didn't come back. They're like, oh, so it's just you and the nerd? Okay, cool. Yeah,
Great.
One less
like, oh, you're closed.
I forgot one
Yeah.
less bill to pay because he had the highest. He was the most expensive crew member of that
That's
that
true.
voyage.
That
He
is
comes
true.
back and the mayor, you saved all that money. Great.
Yeah,
Okay.
nice.
Oh, you didn't
I don't-
bring this guy back? You say a shark ate him, but you don't have the shark? Oh, well, whatever. You didn't bring him back. I guess
Yeah,
he's gone.
that's the important thing. Yeah.
Okay. Now I'm not a city planner of any kind. I am not an electrician. Is it normal to have high voltage power lines going through water? Something that felt like they explained it like, oh, we dredged the bottom of the ocean and we found the power line that powers the entire island, and that just seems like not something that would happen. Like you'd have,
really easily.
Yeah.
Really easily.
Seems like a real
found.
easy way to fry everybody is if like anything broke that, right? You're like
I mean, I feel like didn't they run transatlantic cables to Europe? Isn't that how they had
That's
cable
how-
communication in the
There's
40s or
definitely
something?
cables like that under the water. I don't know if...
but they're not kind of like a little boat can like pull up with a rake, right?
You would think that they would have them a little more secure than that. Yeah, absolutely. But I imagine
figured it'd
Martha's
be like
Vineyard
through
and any
concrete
island
or
like that
something. I don't know.
have cables. They're probably pinned down.
They're protected by an army of lobsters. If you try to get near it, they just pinch you.
Yep.
And to think that Roy Schneider electrocutes this shark to death in a great and like they animate his eyes like the kind of like Dalsim animation of like the electricity going through him. And then
fire.
Yeah, Blanca. That's who I'm thinking of from
Oh,
Star
okay, yeah,
Street
Blanca,
Fighter.
yeah.
And Roy Schneider unscathed. Does not like there's water everywhere. He does not get electrocuted, but the shark does. It's like very impressive.
Well, he's in a rubber boat. Isn't rubber like it's what's
Not
the opposite
not
of a
conductive.
conductor?
Yeah.
Aground, yeah. I like what Roy Schneider did there. I like how he electrocuted that shark. But
I like
here's
how
the
they
thing.
set up that earlier in the movie.
Yeah. Here's the thing is that like the mayor is going to get reelected off of that. Like because he caused another power outage. And like we don't talk about the shark problem and a power outage happened and it's Roy's fault. So like Roy is going down for this. Like he's not a hero. Like he's going to come back to the island and they're going to be like you made all the power go out in the hospital and like we're totally fucked and like why did you do this? And he's gonna be like it was the shark again and they're gonna be like fuck you.
I mean, they might be able to see the dead shark there at that time because that shark got cooked and he was snagged on that wire pretty good.
Yeah, but also not to mention he's fired. He's no longer a police officer, but he's doing police work. He like
stole
in the
a police vehicle.
Yeah.
Well, I also think it's funny that he puts everyone in the other boat with the girl and sends them back, even though his deputy guy is the only guy who knows how to run the boat and where the hell he's going and everything. Like, you'd think he'd be like, okay, I need you to, like, drive this boat, and I'll send my wife back with this hysterical girl.
Agreed.
It did kind
Yeah,
of
and he should have done that because as soon as he shows up, he's like there to save his kid. And can you imagine if your dad showed up to save you and everyone was like, "Yeah, it's my dad, the sheriff. He showed up to save us. Oh, thank God, Sean's dad is here. Oh, Sean, your dad's the coolest." And then he immediately, for no reason, just rams his boat into the rocks and it's like, "Oh fuck, I fucked everything up. Oh no, now you guys got to save yourselves. Jump in the water and swim for it. We're all fucked."
It's okay. At least he has a gun, guys. Right, Dad? You have a gun? No.
I was confused about that. Why exactly did he ram his boat into the rocks?
Because he's incompetent. He's
Didn't the shark jump out of nowhere and he like swerved to avoid it?
He didn't know how to drive the boat.
How could he be that bad?
Well, you're right. Look, in the first movie, him being a landlubber seemed to be like a theme of a point of tension in the film. He's like a sheriff, and he just wants to stay on the land, but it's a beach town. You got to know boats, and he doesn't get it. And you figure after the first movie, he's now like got some sailing skills. He's wrestled a shark, and he'd embrace the life or move or something. Like he's still there, and he seems to like have got like, good, we killed that shark. I can go back to not giving a shit about the ocean anymore. It's odd his stubborn ignorance of the water.
Yeah, you'd think his jurisdiction now extends into the sharks of the sea. He would embrace that and run with it, but no, he still doesn't know what the fuck he's doing.
It's not just
he still
that,
wants to
but,
enforce the law there, though.
But you have to be like really, really dumb to just like drive a boat like right into something, like they have steering wheels and everything. Like,
but boats
it's not necessarily intuitive though.
Boats do have inertia. They're not like driving a car. It's like they move forward after you release the gas.
That's
like
true.
Ramming into something, I think is actually quite a common occurrence with the less
but
experienced.
But the way
boat.
he rams into it is so direct.
He definitely just panics and hits the gas. He's like, "Oh shit, shark!" I think it's funny too because it's like he's like, "Don't worry, kids, I'm coming to save you." He's so brave and everything. And then as soon as the shark shows up, he's like, "Fuck, I'm out of here."
They should have done a shot of just the kids' faces going from like real joy to like real disappointment without like seeing him. Like their eyes are just following right to left.
Ralph Mouth just turns around and is like, "Sean, your dad's such a dick."
Yeah.
Speaking of the kids, I will say the youngest son, I did appreciate his performance when he was on the sinking dinghy or the sinking part and they were trying to throw the rope to him and he was too scared to turn around. Like that was actually a nice little performance that kid brought in for that moment.
Especially for like a kid actor. That
right?
was good.
Fun fact about him, his name is something.
I knew it was something in high school.
Thanks for that information, Harris. Good to know. His name,
definitely got a name.
He does have a name.
His name's Mark Gilpin, and he's Perry Gilpin's brother, and she plays Roz on Frasier.
Oh, okay.
Fun fact.
Right.
Can we talk a little bit about Chief Brody's wife and how she is always like perfectly lit and like they gave her like a much bigger role in this, but I don't know. Does she do anything for anyone? Colin, I'm feeling like she does something for you.
I mean, she's okay.
I mean, she's an actress in a movie, and she's kind of older, so that seems like your wheelhouse, Colin. That seems like
pretty
your
good.
type.
I like how they have. I like how weird it was when they're at the big party and they're dancing together, and then they're like clearly gonna go fuck, but like how weird they're being about it. I like that.
I thought that was like, I actually like that beat. I noticed that beat in that it was like it felt like a genuine couple who've been married for a while who still have sex.
Yeah.
Being fairly natural about it, because I think Rachel is like, you want to like go home and what does he say?
It had this combination of being like
fool
both
around.
lame.
You want to go home and like fool around, and she's like, yeah, let's do it. And it's like
he's like, you want to go fool around, and she's like, yes. It had this weird
Seemed like a healthy
combination of-
relationship.
yeah, I was like, I hope I'm
was
married and I
believable.
can be like, hey, you want to go fool around, and she's like, yeah, I'm game. That worked for me. I feel like it'd be too. Now if you're trying to show a married couple is sexual, it's like they have to freaking slam into a wall and they have to like hump each other in the broom closet, like, just like tearing each other's clothes off. Just the passion knows no bounds. And this seemed like, I buy that. They've been married 10 years.
Things
They're
were
like,
simpler in the 70s.
they're gonna
and
pencil in a quick shag when they get home.
I feel like there was there's like a deleted scene where he's like, no, I had the extra appetizers, maybe in the morning, like just a little.
He's
bloated.
pretty fit for some reason, even though he's like always scared. And like honestly, like I think he has a serious anxiety problem. He's like constantly on the cigarettes and the coffee and looks terrified at all times. Like, is he okay?
Wait, isn't that they're at the breakfast scene? She's like, "That's your third cigarette." And he goes, "I'm drinking coffee." Like, what am I supposed to do? Not change?
She's like, try a donut.
Sugar, caffeine, nicotine. He's running on just that.
Yeah.
So I'm watching the movie, and we're an hour in, and we're getting we're getting a view of her legs for the first time. They were introducing that she has legs.
Yes. Yes.
Does that pantsuit go all the way up?
You know who I liked Hot Girl's friend with the frizzy hair. Her hair was so big.
That's definitely your type.
Yeah.
Colin's got good ugly friend energy.
Oh, fuck. I feel like this whole time you guys are trying to narrow in on which girl I like the best in this movie.
I like the guy who wears the cap, who looks like Balky from Perfect Strangers.
You mean the guy from Back to School, right?
Yeah,
No, the other guy.
Oh, the other guy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
the
why
guy
would there be two people who wear that kind of hat? That is fucking ridiculous.
Well, that's the guy who's the mayor's son's buddy, and he looks kind of like Horshack from Welcome Back, Kotter.
He's
Welcome Back, Kotter,
the one. Is he the one that tries to block the girl from getting on the boat? I enjoyed that interaction a lot because it's like the kid's got the boat. And the girl that he's been flirting with comes over, and she's like, "Hey, got room on the boat?" And the guy's like, no thanks. I think it's just us." And then he's like, "No." He's like, "Dude, we'll make room. Shut the fuck up. Like, why are you trying to cock block me here?"
Is this the same guy with the sparrow tits comment?
Yes.
thing?
Yep.
Okay,
That's the guy.
Yeah, he's got problems.
No, I don't
It's
think.
also-
No, the sparrow tits
He's the
guy.
Harris of their group.
The sparrow. I thought the sparrow tits guy had dark hair. He looked like a Ralph Macchio. They're so interchangeable.
No,
They're
that's
like so
that's
many
definitely.
of them.
That's definitely a Sparrow Tits guy because it's the judge or it's the mayor's son that says, "Oh, check her out," and then he's the best. He's like the mayor's son's best buddy, and they're kind of setting them up to be like villains or romantic rivals or something. But then later, it turns out he's cool because then he's like, "Oh man, that girl ditched you for Mike." And the guy's like, "Yeah, whatever, it's fine. There's other girls out there."
You're an asshole, but we're all anti-shark here. So.
Yeah, they're bonded by their hatred of shark. They're bonded by their collective reluctance to be eaten by a shark.
But that's interesting because it's like, okay, yeah, they took the time at the beginning before the shark shows up to start trying to form some character around them, and like this is the one that you want to. But that only works if then later when there's action and there's a shark and it's like, to me that would be begging a moment where like the guy that said sparrow tits, I hate that we're calling him that now for like the 15th, but if he like shoves someone into the ocean to be like, he'll take the shark bite. Let's swim this way. You know, like sacrifice a friend or do something like quite evil. And you're like,
Right.
yeah, I should have
Or
known.
even just setting up a decision where somebody could be like, oh, it's my romantic rival, but I'll save him anyways.
Right.
But all that goes to hell when the sheriff's son, who's arguably your main teen protagonist, is eliminated from the movie as soon as the shark shows up. And then the girl, who is the main love interest, just screams hysterically for the remainder of the film.
And then, like, what you really got to do at that point is bring in a helicopter.
And the helicopter pilot has to have a sweet beard.
Yeah, but just a beard, though. You give that helicopter pilot a mustache, we're all fired.
Yep. I just love this. I love, like, everything we're talking about. Like, I just enjoyed it because, like, all of it just made the movie, like, longer and slower and more boring. And I loved it.
Oh God, I do also like that this is like back in the day when a bunch of 17-year-olds could just go out to the bar and it's just like they're just all like they're drinking at the bar like they're regulars and it's just like their hangout.
Yeah, I didn't even think about it. It was so
for
like,
me,
yeah.
the most fucked up part of this movie, the part that made me cringe and wince, like, more than all the shark attacks, more than any death that happens in this movie, is when that scuba diver gets spooked and goes up to the surface so fast that he has like a embolism,
He gets
or
the
like
bends,
whatever it's
right?
called.
Yeah.
The bends,
Yep.
yeah. Oh my God, that freaks me out. And he's like bleeding from the nose and ears and whatever. That poor guy. He got it worse than anyone in this movie.
Wait,
if you ask me.
how do you feel about Life Aquatic?
Do people
That
get the
movie
bends in
starts
Life
with
Aquatic?
Bill Murray getting the bends
Yeah. I don't know.
when he sees the
I don't know
jaguar
if
shark.
are you asking if they handle that better or worse? I don't know what the question
Who did it
is.
better, Wes Anderson or Juno
Yes.
Schwartz?
Right.
I think you know where we stand on the issue.
Oh, Collins on the corner. Yeah, I feel like the other question there is you've got this shark that, like, obviously it isn't eating for food; it's eating for revenge or something.
It's eating for pleasure.
Yeah,
That's
it's eating
made
for
clearer
pleasure.
later, 2 movies later.
Yeah, because it continues to, like, it's never like when it eats the water skier, it's like, yeah, that was fine, but I also want to eat the lady in the boat, even if she tries to blow me up. Like, this shark isn't just satisfied when it eats somebody; it wants to eat multiple people, and yet spooks a scuba diver. He flies up to the surface, somehow gets away. I don't know how, and then there's like 8 other scuba divers in the water, and he doesn't get at one of them. I don't know. I don't
It seems like the shark.
Lazy.
It seems
Yeah,
like the
lazy
shark at
shark.
times, even though he's able to destroy a helicopter and like destroy the boats and all that stuff, it seems like the shark at times becomes, very incompetent all of a sudden and like has no idea what the fuck it's doing. It's really weird. Maybe it's possession. Like the ghost of the old shark takes over this shark's body sometimes, but this shark normally is just like a dumbass shark. He just like swims around.
It's a real fucking dope shark.
So my pitch is it's The Exorcist 4 meets Jaws meets, what was the other one we had? Footloose.
Yes.
The
Yes.
Warner Brothers
that's perfect.
executives' ears just perked
Oh
up.
my God.
I'm listening.
That's not all that perked up over there.
The first movie does such a good job of it is hunting for food, it's looking for its next meal, and then when they're drawing it out, they're throwing out chum, and it's then becomes like a self-defense thing. This one, it's just too calculating a shark. Like the fact that it attacks the helicopter's landing buoy instead of the boat filled with food, filled with teenagers, it like takes down the helicopter because it can clearly reason that that's gonna take away the kid. Like that part, that stuff just so insane. It's totally bonkers.
I bought it. I saw it a different way because the helicopter buoy things are like bright orange, like and they're big and puffy. I thought the
And
shark
sharks
would see
are
that.
attracted to big puffy orange things.
Big puffy
as we
things
all know.
that bang drums.
They should have had the doctor say that at the beginning, like, well, sharks like banging percussive sounds and big puffy orange pontoon-shaped things.
Here's another theory. This shark is really more into like the taunting aspect of the whole thing. Like it doesn't like really get the pleasure out of eating people unless it is like, kind of like non-verbally talk shit to them first. Like, like, oh yeah, you think you're safe? I can kill a helicopter. Yeah, fuck you. I'm going to eat you soon. And then the kids are like, please don't eat us, I guess.
The whole like third act of this movie is just the kids like sitting in their armada of boats that they've tied together.
Yeah.
Just like kind of waiting for Brody to show up. And like there's a lot of just them waiting and like will they just drift to somewhere safe? And will Brody show up at some point? And it's a lot of cutting to Brody like not knowing what the fuck he's doing or where he's going, and he's just like randomly driving
Punching
around
the
the
boat?
water.
Well, look,
Yeah.
putting Brody's kids in harm's way is, I think, a smart choice. Like, I think it would be too much of the same to just say, okay, now he's on the boat again, and the shark's circling him again. So I like the idea of like taking the things that are most precious to him, and now he has to face these obstacles to get these helpless kids. Like that part's fine, but he does come off as so inept and so without a plan that it's hard to root for him. You're sort of going like, these kids are going to figure it out before he gets there, and then they don't either. So it's rough. It's rough going right out in there.
Choose your fighter. I hit random. You got Sheriff Brody.
What was up with the bullet scene? Oh my god, that scene was nuts. Do you remember that, where he's making sodium pentothal cased bullets that he's putting candle wax on because apparently firing up to seal it? But like, would that work? I mean, surely a bullet would heat up enough to melt candle wax a little bit, like as it's going out of a gun. Maybe not. Who the hell knows? Maybe a wax pellet. I'm not.
Well, I think because they're hollow tips, so when it hits, it'll spread out. So I think the cyanide in there will be released when the bullet mushrooms.
Where did he learn this
on
stuff?
Contact.
Did he take a class with Rambo in between the first and second film, and then he's hiding it from the sheriff, his second in command?
Yeah.
Who would very rightly have a lot of questions.
And yeah, and he has the skills, knowledge, and ability to do this, and yet he drives a boat directly into a rock.
And he doesn't have the
reason.
skills, knowledge, and ability to know that if he shoots those bullets into water, they're just going to harmlessly stop after about 5 feet.
Yeah. What the fuck? Choose your fighter. Sheriff Brody. Oh, fuck.
RoboCop
Versus
Sheriff Brody.
RoboCop would fuck him up.
That was like a dream of mine as a kid, by the way. A Mortal Kombat-esque game, but like all the characters you can choose are like iconic movie like monsters. Freddy Krueger, Jason, Terminator, RoboCop, like stuff like that.
I'd play the shit out of it.
I mean, a lot of those
That sounds
characters
rad.
are in Mortal Kombat now.
Now they are. I know.
Yeah.
My dream came true.
That would be so good with Sheriff Brody as one of them. He's just so incompetent.
I like that if he was the only one that was like that. Like everyone else is like some kind of superpowered
Exactly.
horror movie monster or superhero or RoboCop, and then it's just Sheriff Brody, and he's got like a barrel. An explosive barrel,
But like,
he's got to like roll it towards you, and then he's got to shoot it, but he misses most of the time.
you have to program it so that like if you're really really good at knowing the buttons, you can actually win with Sheriff Brody. But like it's extremely difficult.
I
You know
think,
what I
like,
mean?
He's got like
really-
the
there's-
sickest combos.
There's like a mini game where he's got to try to convince the mayor to up his budget so he can win this fight.
Before each battle, you have to convince the mayor to give you a budget to deal with the fight that you're about to get
exactly.
into.
I'm fighting a robot cop.
You know how when you hover over a character before you choose them and they just kind of have like a cool stance? Like Sheriff Brody's is just kind of like...
He starts sweating.
He's sweating. Yeah, he's got sweaty pits.
He's just smoking a cigarette and a half-drank cup of coffee.
Yeah, cigarettes,
Just
coffee.
twitching.
Oh
It's
my
just
god!
when
this
you
is
select
such a
him,
good
it's just
idea.
that shot of him on the beach where it's the
The
vertigo
Zolly,
shot.
the Zolly shot.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no Zolly shot in this. That was the director was lesser for that.
Well, I think one of the bigger detractors of this film is the lack of the John Williams like Jaws theme. And while I do think the themes that he introduced in this movie are pretty good, I was like digging the score. It's still not a Jaws movie without the music from the first film. You know, they really, I think they obviously made a choice to not do that music because it would just
Which
be
I don't
kind of
understand because
retreading.
when you make a sequel, just do the music. Now we understand this. Like when you've got a franchise, the franchise becomes
theme
associated.
is part of it.
Like,
yeah,
nobody's gonna do an Avengers movie without the fucking Avengers song. You know? It's
Yeah,
like,
I mean, they
doesn't
always
even
change up
make
the
sense.
music and like kind of call back to the music of the last movie, which they did in this. They did play the Jaws
A little,
theme,
yeah.
but like not to the extent that they did in the first movie, and it was sorely missed.
Do you
at
think
least by me.
Spielberg just called John Williams and was like, "Listen, bro, I don't want you giving them full barrel magic on this one. Give them like 50% of what you did on my movie, because I got this little movie called Indiana Jones I'm cooking up, and you're really gonna want to get on that."
You think he's got dirt on him? You know, like he knows what John Williams did. He calls him up, John, I know what you did. You better not make Jaws too good.
He did this and Close Encounters in the same year.
Yeah, I don't think that was a very good Steven Spielberg impression I just did. Do you think he talks
Probably
like
not.
this?
Probably not. No.
I've heard
maybe,
better.
Maybe that's the explanation for this one not being so good, is that he was just like, I'm working on a Spielberg movie. I'll just throw something together for Jaws 2.
Right.
Yeah, that sounds accurate.
Well, this has gone on too long. And
Kind of like Jaws 2.
yes, and like the thing, what I'm saying is it's gone on too long without me talking about the thing I really want to talk about, and it's a pair of sideburns like nothing I've ever seen. We're talking about the lead actor from the movie Back to School, also stars in Christine, as well as a great supporting role in The Legend of Billie Jean.
His name's Keith Gordon.
Sideburns like that.
Keith Gordon.
Keith Gordon, ladies and gentlemen, the sideburns he has in this movie, like, I feel like if I just had those sideburns, I would get fucking evicted. I would get fired, evicted, probably harassed. I don't know.
Colin, I can't believe you think that bad things would happen to you if you had a weird haircut with the hair you have. I don't understand.
I read on IMDb that his sideburns actually had their own trailer for this movie.
I would believe it, but I think you're not understanding that I am actually pro these sideburns. I am very much for them and think that like they're a beautiful like thing. Like, you know, it's like witnessing a sunset or the opening of a flower. Just
It's a testament to the
absolutely,
ingenuity of mankind.
Yes, like nature at its finest. But like it's like there's more than one sideburn going on. It kind of goes down the jawline, but it kind of cuts toward the mid face. But there's two different things going on. There's so many different lengths of hair. There's not a well-defined a cutting point. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Yes.
Silence.
We all agree. We're all in awe.
Yes.
Yeah, that was just an ode to sideburns.
I'm just pulling up his photo real quick.
Moment of silence.
He's the one.
Sideburn.
He's the one that kept going like, she's looking at you like she wants it. Like he kept really encouraging his friend that this
Napoleon
girl
Dynamite.
who was unaware of his existence. The girl clearly does not know this other guy exists, and he's like, she wants you so badly. What was that? That didn't pay off anything.
He also had the worst boat. Like it couldn't even. It was like inflatable and could not stay.
Which
functional.
I thought they were all kind of like laughing at it when they're out there on the water and his boat's falling apart, and he's kind of laughing too. He's like, "Oh, isn't this ridiculous that my boat's falling apart?" I'd be like, "You motherfuckers can't even see the land, and your boat is sinking, and you're not acting like this is a big deal." I feel like even without a shark in the water, this would be kind of a like, "Hey guys, maybe I should hop on one of your boats because my boat is clearly not seaworthy."
These kids got a real privilege vibe going on with that shit. Like, fucking this guy, how much does this boat cost? And y'all are just gonna sink it and not give a fuck? Like, what the hell?
Wait, are there any black people in this movie?
I don't think so.
I'm not gonna.
Everyone
I'm not
looks
gonna
like
check
the
this. I'm
same
gonna say
kid.
absolutely not. There's not a single black person in this movie.
Wow.
They all look like the same kid. Like, all of them. You can't tell who's who. I can't, anyways. I don't know. What is the point of the whole thing with the guy on the parasail? Oh, just because that builds suspense. But
That
the
was
shark
another
doesn't eat
cool.
him.
That was another cool little thing. The parasail dunking him in the water. That was one of the few times they did the shark POV shot.
Yeah,
but then nothing happens.
I actually thought that looked really fun. Yeah, that was just a dick tease in the beginning of the movie.
He was sort of like a little flesh tea bag for the shark getting dunked into the water.
I kind of wanted the shark to like jump out of the water and try to snap at him. Of course, they didn't have the technology to do anything like that, but that would have been cool.
Oh, just wait till Jaws the Revenge. I feel like I'm really excited for Jaws the Revenge to watch with you guys.
Any movie that has The Revenge as the title, I get pretty excited about. I remember when Fruitvale Station, I think, won Sundance, or it just sold to the Weinstein Company.
Well, and are you saying they should make Fruitvale Station The Revenge?
That at USC on the audition board, because you write out, where you're holding auditions at school, and so someone wrote Fruitvale 2 The Revenge. It was like on the board the next day after it. And it was like, go Coogler! People were psyched about it.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to, I ruined your story. I'm sorry. My bad.
I wouldn't say you ruined it.
I'll cut it out.
Your contribution was not appreciated.
Oh, damn.
Quit stepping on the jokes, Colin.
Should we introduce Jordan to top 4? Are we ready to do that?
Yeah.
I'm ready whenever.
This time?
Now that I got that sideburns discussion out of the way,
I could run it.
I think this is the one that the person who picked the movie runs.
Yeah, I think that's what I got mixed up for.
Okay.
All right. So top 4 is we're gonna take turns, and we're each gonna guess one movie at a time, and we're trying to guess what IMDb has as this person's top 4 movies. Which there's no rhyme or reason to it. It won't be their 4 best or most famous. It'll just be random shit, pretty much.
Okay.
This is gonna be super hard for me because I mean, I don't even know other movies Sheriff Brody's been in.
Was that who we're doing? Sheriff Brody?
I don't know.
I mean, who should I do? There's him. He's an option. Here, I'll just.
It's him and the kid from Back to School are like the only people that've been in others things.
I mean, I gotta say this is brutal. Because they're the only ones I can think of.
Let's try Roy Scheider. I think you guys will get him. There's one movie that I've never heard of. But I'll give you.
That's
guys some
exciting.
hints.
All right, guest goes first.
Heard of it.
Okay, I would say French Connection's got to be one.
That is correct.
Oh, nice. Wow. Got a little soundboard here. Okay.
Yep.
That would have been a good one. French Connection 2, The Revenge.
I'm going to guess Jaws.
Okay. That is correct. All right, we're knocking this one out.
I'm going to do Jaws 2.
Wrong.
Oh.
Am I up?
Yeah. Yep.
He's in The Conversation, right? The Conversation?
Wrong.
Sorry. On this conversation.
Yeah, that's not what we're talking about.
I am going to guess there's 2 good ones. You guys won't guess the other one, so I'm going to guess All That Jazz. We've already mentioned it.
Oh, right.
That's it.
You stole the Bob Fosse. That would have been my next.
Yeah.
All right. So you guys have gotten 3.
Wait, Colin's got to go.
One's really hard.
There's no way I'm going to get it. Just are we on the hint round?
I've got 2 more guesses. No, we're not on the hint round until next round.
Fuck. All right. Jaws 3. He's not even in that, is he?
Wrong.
Okay.
Oh boy, am I up? What else is Roy Schneider in? I'm stumped. I'm gonna pass to Harris.
Okay, Marathon Man is my other good guess.
Wow.
That is a good guess, but it's
wrong.
Oh.
Wrong.
All right. Well, give Colin a hint and let him take a crack
I'm
at it.
I'm going to give you all a hint because I don't know if anyone has heard of this movie. Here's the hint. I'm going to read the logline for this movie. The cop test pilot for an experimental police helicopter learns the sinister implications of the new vehicle.
It's a helicopter movie. I can't remember what it is. He's a helicopter. I've seen it before.
I don't know. Is it my turn?
I don't know whose turn it is, but I also don't know what the movie's called.
Chopper Talk.
Wrong.
Wrong.
I want to say Airwolf, but that was a TV show about about an attack helicopter.
All right, I'll give you guys a hint for the title. It's 2 words. The first word is a color, and the second word is a natural phenomena.
Natural phenomenon. Black hurricane.
You're close.
Blue
You're
lightning.
close.
It's blue something. Blue
It's
lightning.
blue something.
Blue
Lightning
Aurora
and-
Borealis.
Blue Thunder.
Blue Thunder.
Nailed it.
Yeah.
Blue Thunder.
All
Damn, Aurora Borealis was not correct.
Thunder can't be a color. It's a sound. You can't have
It's
a
a
blue
sound,
blue
yeah.
thunder. What does that mean?
That makes no sense.
It really doesn't.
Oh.
My last guess is going to be 2010, the year we make contact.
Oh, he's in that.
He is.
That's a nice twofer we could have done. Should I do someone else, or is that it for top four?
I don't know that we got a lot to work with.
That didn't go
in this
that well.
Do you want to do the kid, Keith Gordon?
Okay. Yeah, sure.
I feel like we're gonna get.
We already
him in a
said them
second.
all.
Yeah, I think we did.
Christine.
Really the thing is, we only know 2 of them, unless Jaws 2 is one of them as well.
Oh, whoa! You guys will never get this.
Yeah, it sounds.
It's all his
brutal.
like directing work.
Oh,
It's like
really?
movies you've never
okay.
heard of. Yeah.
Oh, then we're fucked.
He directs Fargo, the TV series, though.
Oh, wow.
and
Ooh.
Homeland.
Well, that's good.
Fans of both of those shows.
Yeah, he's like a pretty big modern TV director now.
Yeah, but
Interesting.
he's a cinema legend just for the 4 movies I know him from.
Should we do the director? You know Schwartz?
I looked at his IMDb and I couldn't even tell you what I read today.
Good God, this is terrible.
I don't think we're gonna do well
We're
at
not
it,
gonna be
Janelle.
good at that either.
All right, I got it. How about
boy.
Richard Dreyfuss?
Yeah, I think we're gonna come up shorts.
What about Spielberg? I mean, do you do the direct?
Spielberg?
Yeah. What about Spielberg?
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Sure.
I know.
Yeah.
Hey, you know what? In another universe,
He did consider directing this movie. I did read that apparently he wasn't going to do it. Then he thought about it, and then he couldn't get the time when he was doing Close Encounters.
You could say that. You could say that about anyone. I considered directing Jaws 2 if I had lived then.
Well, I mean, the difference being they actually offered it to him at one point.
They were gonna do it as a prequel that was all about the.
I mean, I'd watch the hell out of that
USS
movie.
Indianapolis,
the Robert
basically
Shaw
just
origin story of
yeah,
of Jaws.
basically
That'd
just
be
doing
awesome.
Robert Shaw's story.
They've been talking about doing that movie even like kind of recently. I remember reading something that they were considering doing it.
Yeah, that would have been
It
a
would
lot
be
better.
a cool movie.
Who would play Robert Shaw as modern day, as a young Robert Shaw today? Who would be the actor?
It would be Miles Teller for sure. They just put him in all the
I
prequel.
mean, I've liked
sequel.
him. He always. No, he's a good good actor.
He's not
But
badass enough for any of the roles that he's played.
It's just Michael Fassbender. Michael Fassbender would be good, actually. He might be a little old.
He's too old now. I'm thinking of who's the brother in Get Out. You know what I'm talking. You know what I'm talking about. He's also in 3 Billboards. God, I can't think of his name, but I like him. He's got a very specific look. I don't think he looks anything like Robert. He doesn't look nothing like Robert Shaw. Don't put me in charge of casting for this movie. Clearly, I'm just gonna put guys I like.
He's odd.
Nothing
He's
to do
odd
with
looking. He
Robert
doesn't look
Shaw.
anything like Robert Shaw.
All right, do we want to try Spielberg for fun?
Sure.
All right.
It better be
Alright.
fun.
Do I
got
go?
him up. Yeah, it's fun.
Okay, I'm gonna get Schindler's List as one.
Sure.
You got it.
Wow.
I mean, this could go on forever. I don't think it's going to be fun.
the first Indiana Jones,
Right out the gate.
the Raiders of the Lost Ark.
All right, go ahead, Colin. You'll guess something bad.
You got it, baby.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Jurassic Park.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Wrong.
Wow. All right, I'll guess Jaws.
Ooh.
Sorry, guys.
All right.
You had it and you lost it.
Schindler's List 2: The Revenge.
It's Harris's turn.
I mean, there's only a million of them.
Yeah.
No, it's Colin's turn. Colin, you went second.
Oh, because last time it was.
How do you not
it
remember
was
this?
the
It was
other
like
way.
5 seconds ago.
I know. Let's do Close Encounters. of
Yeah,
the
and this
Third
time we went in a different order.
Sorry.
Yeah.
E.T.
Woohoo!
Wow.
Got one.
Actually, that's
All
not
right,
the title of the movie though. It's technically E.T. the Extraterrestrial.
The people at home can't see me making jerk-off motions with my hand here. But
Now, does the IMDb does it include movies that are not yet out that are being hyped right now?
It might in for some people, but for this particular person who we are guessing, no, it does not.
No. Okay, good. That's good to know.
Why were you gonna guess Robopocalypse?
I was considering saying West Side Story,
Oh yes.
which I'm very curious about because that's like, I mean, if anyone could do it, it's Spielberg. But West Side Story is a masterpiece film. Have you watched that recently? Like, it's crazy what they do in it. It's so well done. So I'm really skeptical of what a modern remake's gonna
Okay,
look
we've only got like 70 more movies
Yeah,
to
I know,
guess
right?
here, guys.
Sorry,
Come on,
I'm
let's keep on
delaying. Minority Report.
Wrong.
Come on, guys.
task. I'm glad that wasn't
All right.
mine.
Is it the hint round?
Yeah, I think the time has
All right.
passed. Well, now you got the floor, Colin, for your guess. So go ahead and do your joke.
I was gonna say West Side Story. You don't want to rush a movie like that. If I was
God.
if I was a director and they were telling me to make it snappy, I don't know what I would do
Oh my god.
because they have the snapping.
Wrong.
Yeah.
I can't believe you were waiting that long
so
for that joke.
long.
You
And then
guys kept
and then
cutting
you
me off.
protested. Yeah, and you know what? But as it turns out, that gives you all this time to think about whether that joke was actually worth
Oh, I
making
know
or
it's not worth it.
And I can't believe that after all that, you still came to the conclusion that it was worth stopping, grinding the podcast to a halt, interrupting our game just to.
It's what I.
That wasn't
It's
even
what
a
I
good
felt
pun.
I needed to do.
All right, here's your hint. Vin Diesel is in this movie.
Oh, the Iron Giant.
Wrong.
No, that's not a Spielberg joint.
Oh.
Is it that one where Vin Diesel
Oh,
is
I know
like
which one it is, I think.
in the courtroom thing? I don't know.
No, it's not. That's a Sidney Lumet movie. It's called Find Me Guilty.
The Vin Diesel courtroom drama. 12 Angry Men with Vin Diesel playing all 12 men.
Is it Saving Private Ryan?
Woohoo!
There we go.
Oh wow!
All right, good. Thank
Wait,
God
who
that
is he
game's
in?
over.
Who is Vin Diesel in that one?
Just
He's
another faceless soldier.
He's the guy who looks like Vin Diesel and
He's
sounds
the
like Vin
first
Diesel.
guy to die in their like platoon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like the biggest role I think Tom Sizemore ever had or will have.
What about True Romance?
Yeah, what about
You make an interesting point.
I don't know, some other movie.
Yeah, he's in something else where he's like a main.
It's really tough. It's really tough to
Strange
determine
Days.
how big of a role it really was for Tom Sizemore. You see what I did there?
Yes.
Is there any way to cut Colin's mic?
I didn't. Did something happen?
You know, because how large the role is for Tom Sizemore.
Wow.
He's laughing now.
More. We all know that when you have to explain a joke, it makes it funnier.
Yes.
Do
Jordan
we have
laughed.
anything left?
I feel
Any
validated.
final thoughts about this movie? Have we forgotten to mention anything?
Got some final thoughts about this podcast.
The one other thing that I know I mentioned it briefly, but I want to harp back to is the like smart shark with problems thing. Like they still do this in movies, and I don't get it. Like they did it in Deep Blue Sea, where the sharks were so smart they could swim backwards, which is so not connected. And then they did it in Jurassic World.
Because that's why sharks
Yeah,
can't
because they're
swim
not
backwards,
smart
'cause they're
enough
too
to
dumb
breathe when they
figure
move
it
back.
out.
And then they did it in Jurassic World, where the Velociraptors are now they're smarter Velociraptors, even though they're pretty darn smart in the first one. I don't get. This is just my little note to Hollywood whenever they're making another big movie. It just don't say they're so much smarter than us. That's not what. I've never been scared by something because it's smarter than me. I'm scared because it's got big, right? I'm like, oh no, it's gonna do math faster than me. Like, no, I'm scared because it's gonna break through a door and chomp me.
Yeah, it's almost scarier because it's dumber. You know, like dumb things scare me. Like that guy I was
Right.
talking about on the road earlier who gave me the A-OK sign. I was scared of him because he's dumb.
And a racist.
Yeah.
Not scared enough to get out of his way though. For
Hey,
some reason,
you know what? I got to do my due diligence. You know, one thing I didn't say is like we didn't talk about our like stories about the first time we saw this, and when I was a kid, I remember going to my uncle's house, and he had like this is back in the days of like VHS, you know, and you would tape things off of TV, and he had a tape that was labeled Jaws 2 / Brewster's Millions. Is that the name of the movie?
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that
And
movie.
I remember
Richard
being
Pryor.
so
Much better
excited to
movie.
watch Jaws 2. So I popped that in, And if you remember, like, the quality of those kind of movies, if you tape something off TV, was not good. You had to, like, did you ever have a VCR that had, like, tracking? And you have to, like, adjust the tracking to get, like, the static to...
Oh, and if you had
out.
two tapes on that, you were doing it slow play. Like, you had to change the speed at which the VHS, so you had lower quality to fit 2 movies on one VHS.
Yeah, there was like a little tab.
Yeah, so
that you had
speaking
to
of the
flip
quality,
to-
it was low. And, like, this movie just always had this quality of, like, looking like someone just went out with an old VHS, like, shoulder camcorder and, like, shot this movie. And it really kind of plays to the scary elements of it. Like, I feel like movies that look like shit from the 70s and 80s are scarier. Like, when you watch them now in 4K and, like, crystal clear imagery, it, like, loses some quality, you know, it, like, loses that snuff film kind of look.
I mean, some of this movie, like, in the version that I watched, is, like, really good looking. Like, they really capture light well and, like, do some interesting things with, like, framing their shots.
Well, I was going to say it.
Yeah, but I know what you mean. Like the washed out, like Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of homemade feel of certain old movies adds to the authenticity.
And I feel like this downloaded version that we watched kind of looks like that. It's like it probably looks better than the VHS, but it still has that, like, washed out look, and it's like it just brought me back to that, you know, that day that I watched that movie.
Oh, I rented it, so it looks like it's, like, crisp.
Yeah. I did not. I had a kind of a grainy whatever this.
Did you guys notice the boom in that shot that I sent you last night?
Yes.
And did you notice the part when the shark, like, lunges at someone who's, like, hanging off the boat, and you get that shot where it, like, lunges toward you and you could see inside its mouth? You could see, like, the mechanics of the shark.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It's pretty egregious.
Good to know. It ruined the illusion for you, and that's why you hate this movie.
Speaking of loving or hating this,
right,
should we rate this thing?
Yeah, let's rate this thing. Yeah.
What's your rating system?
Oh, so our rating system is on a Timothy Dolphin scale. Don't ask what it means. It's just 1 to 10. So
it's normal.
You have to kind of say your little summary of, like, why you like or dislike this movie, and then give it your score and say, you know, I give this X Timothy Dolphins, and I will play.
I'll present you with an example of that exact thing that Matt just said. This is not my first time seeing this movie, but I didn't realize that until I was watching it and was like, oh yeah, I remember seeing this on TV and stuff. I feel like this movie is kind of just wasted potential, because I think in a lot of ways it's technically very competent. And I think the score was pretty good. I think the cinematography was pretty good. I actually think a lot of the actors were great. All the teen actors, I think, had the potential to really carry the movie, but they really weren't emphasized, I think, in the way they should have been. The plot was kind of scattershot. The characters weren't developed. Like I said, I don't think they ever figured out if they wanted to make the teens in trouble the focus point, or if they wanted to make Brody, you know, just do a Jaws redux and have Brody playing out the same story, except alone this time instead of with 2 other interesting characters. So, and like I said, there was only a couple of tense moments. The guy dipping his ass in on the parasailing thing, and the woman water skiing particularly. But this is an inferior movie on almost every level. I think the only way this is better than the first one is it's got a better poster and a better tagline. Just when you thought it was safe to get back in the water, and it's got, like, that shark coming up about to bite the water skier. I think that's cool, even though the first poster is pretty iconic.
Yes, that's blasphemy.
So all that having been said, it's actually not a bad movie. It's fairly entertaining. It wasn't like a slog to sit through, and it's pretty short. So I will give it 5 Timothy Dolphins.
5.
Yeah.
Pretty middle of the road, middle of the ocean, if you will.
Well, I'm going to give it a higher score. Should I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
This movie is, like, just not very good, but I love the way it does it. It makes a ton of mistakes, but they did present a film, so I do appreciate that. I think we've said this before, you know, like, oftentimes when the movie is really bad, it does help that they did complete the film and present it.
It's like writing your name on the SAT.
I think it is like kind of slow and boring at times, but in the kind of way that's like relaxing to to have. And so yeah, it doesn't like look really bad. It has some interesting cinematography, and yeah, the fact that it gets confusing and like incomprehensible with all these characters is it reminds me of movies that do that correctly, even though it clearly failed. And I don't know what else to say. I just hope that if
That's usually a good time to stop talking.
Yeah.
whatever. I feel like if you hit random on the choose your fighter and you get Sheriff Brody, you better know your buttons. So all in all, I think this is a 7 Timothy Dolphin. High.
So high.
That's gotta get changed later.
I love it when it takes out the helicopter. I love it when they explode its face. I love how pointless some of the scenes are. Like, who cares about him making these stupid bullets that he's eventually just going to fire into the ocean for no reason? Oh, man. Awesome.
Jordan,
just awesome.
Jordan, let's hear what you have to say as our guest.
So having not seen it, having watched it for the first time, I'll say I think it's actually a worthwhile film to watch, particularly if you are going to go out and direct a sequel to a better movie. Because I think there's some actually really good inspired directorial shots. I really liked early on the shot of tracking Roy Schneider through the hotel opening. It kind of goes over this orchestra and down into the pit, and there's even just some nice, I think Spielberg inspired kind of oneers, like when he's going around the police station talking to people are entering and exiting in kind of fun ways. So there's a lot of underappreciated, I think, comedy and camera direction in it. So it's worth it for that. And I think that some of the action and editing scenes are good. The reason why it falls apart, why I'm going to give it a not great score, is the story does not need to be told. It's just a movie that in no way ever needed to in existence. It says nothing. It provides no insight into the human condition. The thrills are not enough to justify its existence. So for that, I will give it. We don't do half dolphins, Timothy Dolphins, right?
We try not to, but you can if you want.
It's discouraged.
No, I'll give it
frowned upon.
4 Timothy Dolphins then.
But it's a real They discourage. I encourage that.
Let's say I'll do 3 Timothy Dolphins and 1 half-eaten orca whale.
Nice.
How about
Fair
that?
enough.
That's more like it.
Okay.
So you're solidifying with 3.5.
Three Timothy Dolphins and a half-eaten killer whale. That's my vote.
You know what? You know what you call it when you you know what you call it when you pig out.
Take a really long time to wind this up. Because I want to be amazed.
You know what you call it when you pig out on killer whale meat, right?
No, I don't. What is it?
Porco whale. You know, because you pig out, like the word pork, with like a hyphen and then an A and then another hyphen, because you're pigging out. It's when you pig out on pork. Shut up.
This is all getting cut out.
No.
Joe plays much better with anyone who eats whale meat.
Oh, now we're gonna make it a fucking whale meat issue.
The Cove. Have you not watched The Cove? It's too soon, Colin, to make jokes about whale meat.
I fucked up. I'm
Wow.
the worst.
All right, I'm gonna give my score. So yeah, I saw this movie as a kid. A lot of it in my mind, like it looks so similar to the first Jaws movie that, like, a lot of the scenes are interchangeable. Or like as a kid, I would get confused and think that the scene with like the jet ski explosion boat, the boat scene, was in the first movie and stuff like that. So I don't know. This movie like plays better in my memory. But having watched it yesterday and right now, it has a lot of redeemable qualities, and I would call this a success. it's not a bad, unwatchable, cringeworthy movie like so many later sequels in this series are. And it's like I said earlier, it's different enough that it's like, it earns its keep a little bit. It could easily have been just a carbon copy of the first movie, and it there are parts of it that are, but it's enough that it's not, that it works for me. I like the end with the electrical cord as much as we don't know how much sense that actually makes. It's a cool death for the shark. I feel like they missed something with all these teenage characters and like pulling Tina and his son out of the movie before the climax. I didn't get the choice and like
Matt,
yeah.
Not to interrupt you, but I think a lot of people have seen the end of this movie on cable.
Cable junction.
Sorry.
Yeah, I do like the shark's look. It's a little, hokey, but it kind of works. How it's like he's burnt up and shitty looking. I guarantee you it was probably that they thought the shark looked fake or something, and so they wanted to like hide it somehow. But yeah, having said all that, I agree with Jordan that this is a movie that like doesn't need to exist. It doesn't serve a purpose. It doesn't have a message. It doesn't really say anything other than just like it's kind of trying to like make money off of the first Jaws movie. But it does that well, and it's
it made money well?
Yeah.
It was the most successful, profitable sequel ever when it came out.
Mm-hmm.
There you go. See,
yeah,
it did well.
Money exchanged hands in the correct way.
Like of cash grabs, like I would much rather watch this than like Fast and the Furious 8 or 9. I feel like this movie is more fun.
Really? Wait, this movie's more fun than
is?
Fast and the Furious 8 or 9? I haven't seen 9, but I mean, the Fast and Furious series is insane. Like,
yeah, the later ones, like the later ones are boring. It's too much.
You know what
It's
they
too
need to do in
unbelievable.
Fast and the Furious is introduce like 15 high school age kids as characters
in pantsuits. They need
All kind
more
of look the
girls in
same.
pantsuits
Yes.
that Vin Diesel can say like, "Whoa, check her out."
Yes. Mm-hmm.
I want to give this a 4, but like the nostalgia factor for me, and I feel like Roy Scheider really like gives it his all. Brings it up to I'm gonna give it the same score that Harris gave it. I'm gonna give this 5 Timothy Dolphins.
Good thing
And
I
there
came
you
down
have it.
from 9. Just kidding.
Are you
So
though?
the aggregate's a 5, huh? With a 7, a 3,
Yeah.
2 5s.
Yeah.
Yep.
That feels high to me.
That sounds about as sequel as it gets, right? Right in the middle. Just like
Yeah.
not quite good enough to recommend, but not bad enough that you want to just tear your hair out.
You know why Roy Scheider had to do this movie? Because he backed out of playing the De Niro part in The Deer Hunter, and they had him under contract. So they were like, "Yeah, you gotta do Jaws 2 now."
Wow.
Damn it!
Yeah.
Is Dreyfus gonna be in it?
Can you imagine? Can you imagine Deer Hunter with him instead of De Niro?
Was Deer Hunter an Academy Award winning film?
Yes.
It
Yeah.
was.
Interesting.
Best Picture, I think, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one was a sequel to Bambi as well, correct?
That's right. That's actually totally
Yeah, it's
correct.
a little known fact.
Yeah.
Bambi 4: The Revenge.
Both films about a loss of innocence.
Jordan, thanks for being our guest. Do you have anything going on that you want to plug, or like, can people find your work on a website or a social media something?
I've things forthcoming later this year. I won't. There's no reason to plug them now. But if you
So maybe
go
you'll
to
have
my
to come
website,
back
just-
and plug them.
I will
there.
come back for sure. My website's jordanledy.com, JORDANLEDY, and I'm at JLeddy. Yeah, and also I follow at Arun Considers because anything he's doing, I usually have my hands in the dough as well. Yeah, and thanks for having me, guys. It's been fun.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
for
you.
doing this. All right. So, anything else we forgot to say? Does anyone have anything? Colin, do you have any more puns? Please no.
I don't know. I feel like Jordan Ledy was a very heavy guest. He really brought the lead.
I brought the lead. Oh no.
Good lord.
Because lead is a heavy metal.
I feel like Colin needs some sleep.
Yeah, seriously, these puns are getting really dumb. Like dumber than usual.
Yeah.
Like you could have done like, Jordan Ledy isn't a follower or something like that.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Or I think I'm suffering from lead poisoning. Which is why my puns are so terrible.
Yeah.
Wow.
Right.
Stop trying to steal my thing.
Sounds like Colin's puns don't have any lead in his pencil.
Yeah, what? Colin's puns cannot achieve an erection.
All right, Jaws 2. I'd like to give a big special thanks to our guest for this episode, Jordan Ledy. And thanks again to Chris Morocco, a.k.a. C-Rock, and Max Serwitz, a.k.a. Suburb, for continually putting out the hits and making those beautiful custom beats that you hear on each franchise that we cover. Remember to become our patron by going to patreon.com/L2W. If you like this show, please help support the podcast by contributing just $1 a month. You'll get instant access to over 30 shows of us covering non-franchise classic movies with a new episode every month. Again, that's www.patreon.com/L2W. This show is a part of the Fandom Limb Podcast Network, so be sure to check out some of their other awesome shows. And join us next time for Jaws 3D. The third dimension is terror.